Zando Penguin Audio presents The Big We. How Giving Circles Unlock Generosity, Strengthen Community, and Make Change. Written and narrated by Hali Lee.
Introduction. Imagine millions of people meeting in thousands of living rooms, book groups, and high school gymnasiums, from Omaha to Ocala, from Birmingham to Bellevue, from Freeport to Fresno. We meet to figure out how to fix broken traffic lights or address playground repairs. We discuss wheelchair access in the local park, school board elections, or the next block party. We eat, drink, laugh, and argue together. These simple activities, however mundane, are in fact the building blocks of civic engagement. Simply put, civic engagement is when people come together to improve their communities or address social issues. It is joining forces to do good. It is people who care exercising their citizenry muscles to make positive change with one another. At a socio-political moment in which there is so much loneliness, isolation, distrust, and disenfranchisement, assembling with friends, neighbors, and colleagues to improve our neighborhoods is one way we can begin to reknit the ties that bind us. By circling up in fun, convivial, neighborly ways to make our towns fairer, freer, and more open for all, we can practice civic engagement with one another. And if ever there were a time to do that, it is now. Welcome to The Big We. The Big We is a group of high school students who raise money and decide, together, how to support their local charities. The Big We is a group of women sitting around a living room raising resources to elect state legislators. The Big We is a group of friends and neighbors who pool their time, resources, knowledge, and empathy to fund community organizing in Brooklyn. The Big We is a book group who pools money at their monthly get-togethers so they can give together based on some shared values. The Big We is a group of work colleagues who collect $20 every pay period to fund emergent issues in the neighborhood. The Big We is all of us in church basements and around kitchen tables across the country doing what we have always done for as long as we humans have lived in communities, banded together and joined resources to help one another. Our American democratic system works only when its citizens, that would be us, are civically engaged. This book is about philanthropy, the sector in which I work, but it's also an American story about how we can be better citizens. I've been working in the social change and philanthropy sectors for over 20 years and have seen the work from multiple angles. As an executive director of several nonprofits, I've sought grant funding from foundations and philanthropists, also called donors. As a board member of the New York Women's Foundation, I got to participate in the grants allocations process. I've seen firsthand that philanthropy is way more than money, especially when it is practiced in groups, because in addition to money, most of us also volunteer our time, lend our influence, and use our voice to bring about the change we want to see. Groups of people who give together are known as giving circles. I started the Asian Women Giving Circle 18 years ago with 10 girlfriends. To date, we've raised and distributed $1.5 million to Asian American women and gender-expansive folks in New York City who use the tools of arts and culture to bring more joy, fairness, opportunity, and equitable social change to their communities. I also co-founded the Donors of Color Network, the country's first ever community of wealthy folks of color. And I helped build Philanthropy Together, the first ever philanthropic infrastructure organization built to support collective giving and giving circles globally. The Asian Women Giving Circle, the Donors of Color Network, and Philanthropy Together are all examples of the Big We, people coming together to be more powerful than the sum of their parts. The Big We is, in some ways, a critique of billionaire-led technocratic philanthropy, but I hope it also embodies some ideas for those of us who care about civility, community, and taking care of each other. At its core, the Big We is about generosity, big-heartedness, its joys and its laments. And it's about belonging. There's something very us in the continual striving, the aspiring, the struggle to find belonging with neighbors and friends. This is an American story, but I walk around the edges of it. And like many such stories and ideals, this one is aspirational, in progress, full of grappling, and also some heartache. Diversifying and democratizing the field and practice of philanthropy has been a goal in my work. Seeing myself, a Midwesterner with Korean roots, in the American story has been a core part of that. And building philanthropic projects so other people of color can see themselves in the philanthropic story, so I can see myself in the philanthropic story, has become an important through line. I grew up in Kansas City in the 1970s and 80s. My brother Eli and I were the only Asian kids at our elementary school until Kim Wong came in 5th grade. Kim and I are friends to this day. Eli and I were good at school and athletic and always had lots of friends. When we were in 1st and 2nd grades, 2 enormous 6th grade boys chased us home from school, yelling and taunting us. Chinese, Japanese, dirty knees, making their eyes slant up and telling us to go back to where we came from. Sure, we were going to die. We ran into our house. The hero of this story is my mom. She chased down one of the boys, marched him into our kitchen, and made him call his mom to tell her what he'd done. By this point, he was a blubbering, crying, sweaty mess. She called the school principal, Mr. Dill, too. Another time, when we were visiting my grandmother in Chicago, a very scary older white lady on the bus told us to go to the back of the bus where we belonged so she could have our seat. The bus driver stopped the bus and told the lady to get off. Another time, in 9th grade, a group of white girls painted swastikas on the lockers of some Jewish students and spewed hateful rhetoric at the small group of Asian and Black girls who attended our school. About once a year throughout my childhood, something awful happened that had to do with race, belonging, and othering. Fast forward to now, Paul Brest, a giant of the legal and philanthropy fields, practically apoplectic that I was disagreeing with him at a small philanthropy gathering, said to me, "Well, Holly, maybe you don't belong in this room." Belonging or not is a recurring theme in the experiment that is America. The debate over who belongs in this country is very much alive today, and yet the beautiful, hard truth is that belonging is an ideal that we can create only if we do it together. The tension over who belongs where can be seen in many fields, including philanthropy. When I started the Asian Women Giving Circle, we were excluded from philanthropic networks because giving circles, groups of people who pool their resources and give together, were not considered proper philanthropy. When we started the Donors of Color Network, there were literally no philanthropic homes for wealthy people of color because the existing donor networks had failed to meaningfully integrate themselves to include people who were different from their founders. Philanthropy, as a professional field and sector, was born out of America's first Gilded Age. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, individuals like Andrew Carnegie, Cornelius Vanderbilt, John D. Rockefeller, and Henry Ford made unimaginably vast fortunes in the steel, oil, railroad, communications, and automobiles industries. These titans of industry donated enormous sums of money to create perpetually endowed philanthropic foundations from which modern philanthropic practice and grant-making emerged. They were aided and abetted by changes in laws and tax codes that privilege the accumulation of wealth and charitable dollars being sequestered this way. We are living in a second American Gilded Age with recent fortunes made in finance, retail, and technology powering our era's philanthropy. Think of Bill Gates, Melinda French Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, except Elon Musk is not all that philanthropic, Jeff Bezos, and his ex-wife Mackenzie Scott, who is way more philanthropic than
Sample complete. Ready to continue?